Hello traders. In this video, we'll be looking forward into the coming week with NVIDIA earnings on deck, yields fading at the highs, sectors oversold, and capitulation selling on many oscillators to end the week. Starting off with S&P 500, open interest grew at the 4,000 strike, which is down near the 200-day moving average. That would represent about a 10% drop for the indices. And if we learned anything from last year, then nothing should surprise us. So far, the S&P 500 is about 6% off of the recent highs that we put in at the end of July. Stochastics is embedded, ready to spring higher, along with all of the spider sectors. While energy has been showing relative strength, we did see energy stocks stop at the 21-day moving average. Stochastics turned at 50, while the remaining sectors are oversold and ready to turn. In addition to all 9 spider small cap sectors, with capitulation selling in an area where we've seen a bounce before in October and again in March, look for a turn on this particular oscillator. The green arrows showing areas where we bounced prior, and expecting something similar with all sectors oversold. That said, with NVIDIA reporting this week, many will be focused on what management has to say, and more importantly, how the stock reacts. This is the New York FANG Index. You can see that we put in a hammer on Friday with stochastics oversold. We're looking for this to turn higher. Moreover, if NVIDIA earnings are bought and we do see the stock moving higher, all of the sectors are set up to explode or implode further if NVIDIA earnings are deemed more bearish. Remember that 4,000 level on the S&P 500 that marks the low point at this juncture going into the fall, and seasonally the stronger months of the year. IWM did pull back for the past 3 weeks, as well as the other indices, highlighting the weakness in small cap stocks, small cap energy, financials, and biotechs, with all 9 sectors oversold and ready to turn, with short covering on Friday. Finally, advanced decline percent has moved down to minus 30% and turned. That's an area we look for reversals, with the S&P 500, mid caps, small caps, and NASDAQ from top to bottom. All 4 are turning, with extreme levels that we've seen back in September, October, again in March, appearing last week. We generally see NIMO give us a reversal when we hit these extremes, while being mindful that the markets can get more oversold to start the week. So we'll start with a bit of caution going into Monday trade. The 10-year yield was rejected at the October high, 4.33%, and closed lower on Friday, but it remains in a bullish trend. So this is a caveat that the bulls have to consider. In addition to a trending US dollar, which was rejected at the 200-day on Friday and Thursday, but remains in a persistent bullish trend over the last 4 weeks. If this moves higher, in addition to a higher 10-year yield, that would be reason to be more cautious and start thinking more about that 4,000 level and put open interest that was added most recently. Finally, there is the commodity sector and what we've been seeing with copper bouncing, despite the fact that China's economy appears to be deflating, with awful flooding and climatic weather over the last couple of weeks, with potential financial implications here in the U.S. So something that we need to keep an eye on for you as well. As we begin the week, I'd like to point to the IBD 50 list, which is a bit smaller. The stocks that have an asterisk next to them warrant additional research, but they are set up. In addition to the stocks in cyan that all beat earnings, again with asterisks next to them, like Celsius looking for a follow through after it beat earnings, along with Ross Stores breaking out of a cup and handle pattern on beating earnings as well. And finally, with energy, look for Valero and Delic DK. These are refiners in the U.S. that stand to benefit. The energy stocks continue to push higher and remain an area where we'll be focused this week. Activision remains at highs, along with Adobe having passed earnings. Stochastics is oversold. We're just looking for a turn. This recent fade was on lower volume, with Adobe earnings in line with expectations, with revenue growth of 9.8% year over year. Apollo managing private equity, credit, and real estate funds, as well as strategic investment accounts on behalf of its clients. It had a nice bounce at the 50-day moving average. We're watching Stochastics oversold and turning. Has an ATR of approximately $1.80. Celsius Holdings, one of those stocks that are highlighted with an asterisk. This company beat expectations by 44.4%, while revenue grew 111% on a year-over-year basis. They do provide product to Costco, among other retailers, and continued to establish market share as the company grows. That said, we're watching for consolidation. RSI did back off a little bit. Volume tapering off as well on the pullback, which is what you want to see. Stochastics is a little overbought in this case, so we'd like to see that pull back or embed like it did back in May, where it gapped up the last time on earnings and followed through. So look for something similar for Celsius going forward. Elf Beauty, retail, with stocks like Ross Stores following through. The company beat expectations by 67.19%, while revenue growth was 76.46% on a year-over-year basis when it reported back on August 1st. We're watching how price action holds near the 50-day. Eli Lilly remaining near highs after beating expectations on August 8th. Year-over-year revenue growth at 28%, with many stocks in the sector, pharmaceuticals, moving higher, like Acadia. I have a position in Acadia selling covered calls at the 30 strike. Need to roll those up if we start to move higher. In addition to Merck, which is right above the 200-day and transitioning above the 50-day last week, looking for a follow-through with Stochastics a bit embedded now and RSI above 50, looking for Merck and other pharmaceutical companies to follow through this week, as it is a defensive sector and could see more buyers. ATAI Aviation, this has been on the watch list for several weeks, along with the IBD 50, remaining above the 21-day and a persistent trend, with the most recent pullback to the 50-day in late June, resulting in a follow-through after beating earnings back on July 26. The company beat consensus estimates by 64.29%, while revenue grew 54.19% on a year-over-year basis. The company owns and maintains commercial jet engines with a focus on CMF 56, formerly known as Fortress Transportation Infrastructure Investors, is based in New York and looks like it's going to continue this trend into the fall. Halliburton at the 21-day moving average, Stochastics getting oversold. It's near 50. Volume started to pick up on Friday on the bounce, resulting in a bounce at the 21-day, with the company reporting back on July 19th, reported in-line expectations while revenue grew 14.27% year over year. Halliburton looking for a bounce and the energy sector going forward. ITT is back on the IBD 50. We're sitting right on top of the 50-day moving average. A lot of stocks are showing this setup where stochastics is oversold and ready to turn. If it does, in addition to price action bouncing, MACD will turn as well. Look for increasing volume. The company beat expectations by 11.76% back on August the 3rd, while revenue grew 13.72% on a year-over-year basis. And of course, the company is a leading manufacturer of highly engineered critical components and customized technology solutions for the transportation, industrial, and energy, quotes, energy markets. With the main focus for me, lots of stocks and all sectors have this particular setup with stochastics oversold and ready to turn. Interactive Brokers continues on the swing trader alerts. A bounce at the 21-day moving average. Volume looks pretty good. Stochastics a little bit overbought, turning back down. This one looks like it's going to continue higher. Missing expectations by 7.69% back on July 18th, but its revenue growth was 141% on a year-over-year basis. So that little dip there was bought, followed through, volume picked up. So that's an indication that institutions liked the revenue growth while dismissing the miss of 7.69%. International Seaways, I believe this is the second or third week it's been on the IBD 50. This continues higher. RSI is embedded. Price action is very strong. In the transportation business, oil and petroleum products, it has a fleet of 74 vessels, I believe. Company beat expectations last time around on August 9th, 13.87%, while revenue grew 55.26% on a year-over-year basis. I like the way stochastics is turning. It's not below 20, but it is turning and showing strength as RSI builds muscle in a sector that's showing relative strength. In addition, International Seaways weekly chart, we can see, is above the 10 EMA. It's forming a cup, looking for a handle at this area. Volume notes that institutions are active and momentum oscillators are just now starting to turn. Last time it turned back here in February when the Ukraine-Russia conflict started. This stock rallied from 12 up to 42, so more than 3 times. Looking for a handle and a breakout in the weeks to come. Lulu was noted by several analysts. It's managing to hold on to the 100 and the 50-period moving averages. The 921 are just overhead. RSI is rising. Watching for stochastics to turn. MACD has shown that flat price action and lack of momentum. So with the retail sector doing well, we're keeping an eye on Lulu, looking for a breakout above these recent highs for a continuation into the fall. Liberty Energy, a relatively inexpensive energy name, right at the 21-day moving average. Here again is that setup with stochastics oversold, getting ready to turn, looking for a follow-through and a push higher in all of these energy sector names this week. PACCAR sitting right on top of the 50-day moving average. It recently reported on July 25th, right in here where we gapped down. The company beat expectations by 2.64%, while revenue growth was 24% year over year. PACCAR designs, manufactures, and distributes light, medium, and heavy-duty trucks and related aftermarket parts. Quanta Services being mentioned, I believe, by Joe T. on Friday. The company is a provider of specialty contracting services to the electric power, oil, and gas industries in North America and select international markets. It's trending. Just keep an eye on it, as it looks like it could continue into the fall months as energy-related services shows relative strength. Just a side note, World Wrestling Entertainment back on the IBD 50, bouncing at the 21-day moving average. Watching how the stock trades in the next couple of weeks. It missed expectations in the last report on August the 2nd, while revenue growth was 25.3%. 0.02% year over year, noted in that report on August 2nd. Zurn LK Water Solutions. This one showed up. This is the first time I've seen it, I believe, on the IBD 50. Stochastics oversold and turning, with the company beating expectations by 9%, with revenue growth of nearly 42% on a year-over-year basis. The company is a pure-play water business that designs, procures, manufactures, and markets what they believe is the broadest sustainable product portfolio of solutions to improve health, human safety, and the environment. Blah, blah, blah. This is new. Keeping an eye on this one. Anything water a lot of times catches my attention. Okay, traders, that's going to do it for me. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com. Sunday, the 20th of August, with your weekend video newsletter. Looking forward into a week where we'll have NVIDIA reporting. So we'll be a bit cautious again to start Monday trading. We do have 10 bearish indicators, 5 neutral, and 5 bullish going into the week. So we'll be watching these stocks listed below, looking for a follow-through, especially the ones in energy. And remember, all sectors are oversold, and capitulative selling last week could be indicating we're ready for a bounce in the short term. I'll send out a watch list later tonight around 12 midnight on the East Coast, around 9 o'clock on the West Coast. So be sure to check your inbox for that later tonight. Take care. Have a great weekend, what's left of it, and we'll see you in the morning. Ciao.